에코즈 from Pyongyang.
For 14 years, I guarded North Korea skies. But this country couldn't fix a single hole in my daughter's heart.
When a child gets sick, you take them to the hospital. It's that simple. But for one North Korean fighter pilot, hearing his daughter had a hole in her heart meant hearing 3 words. We don't have the equipment. 14 years of risking his life in the sky, and all he got back was a single cold line. State resources cannot be used for personal matters. In the early 2000s, even after the worst of the famine had passed, North Korea's medical system never recovered. Hospitals had no medicine. One doctor laughed bitterly and said, "If we had pills, I'd have taken them myself. No cold medicine, no antibiotics. Nothing but counterfeit Chinese drugs sold on the black market." This man, a decorated Air Force captain, the son of a Korean War veteran, asked for one thing: help saving his daughter. And for that, he was flagged by the Boebu, North Korea's secret police. When doctors gave his daughter 3 months to live, this father made a decision no one could have imagined. That night, a fighter jet vanished from a North Korean airbase. He'd used a scheduled night training flight as cover. The moment the wheels left the runway, his wife and 7-year-old daughter were hidden in the rear seat. The control tower screamed over the radio.
"Return immediately."
He switched it off and pushed the throttle to maximum, heading south. Behind him, interceptors scrambled. The fuel warning light was already on. He had 40 minutes of fuel. He needed 50.
Daddy, my heart hurts.
It's okay, Yoonbyo. Daddy's taking you somewhere they can fix it.
If you do not return within 10 minutes, we will give the order to shoot you down.
What drove this father to abandon his country, and even his own parents, for a flight that could kill them all? And with fuel running out and interceptors closing in, did they ever make it to South Korean soil? This is the story of one family's life or death journey toward freedom. If you'd like to support this channel, please subscribe and like. Thank you.
My name was Ri Chul-ho, Captain, Korean People's Air Force. Feels like a lifetime ago now, but back then, that uniform was everything I had. I grew up in Suncheon, South Pyongyang Province. Our family lived in the officer housing right next to the airbase. In North Korea, being an Air Force pilot meant something. Your political background had to be spotless, loyalty to the party verified 3 generations deep. My father was a Korean War veteran. That record opened every door for our family, and from the time I was small, all I wanted was to fly. My father used to say, "Chul-ho, you protect this country's sky." I fought on the ground. You fight from above. Those words stayed with me. I made it happen. Graduated flight school at 22 and got posted to Suncheon Air Base. The pride on my father's face that day, I can still see it. My mother made sundaeguk, Korean blood sausage soup, my favorite. I can still taste it. Life in the officer housing was better than most North Koreans had it. Rations came more regularly. We had a 2-room apartment, nothing fancy by South Korean standards, but in the north, 2 rooms made you the envy of the neighborhood. When other families shivered through winter with no coal briquettes, ours were supplied by the military. I met my wife, Sun Ok, when I was 30. She worked at the munitions factory on base. Dimples when she smiled. We were introduced through a military matchmaker, not so different from how things used to work in the South, really. Her family background checked out, so the marriage permit came fast. We wed the following spring. A year later, Eunbyul arrived. She came into the world screaming so loud, the midwife joked she'd make a fine general someday. I picked the name myself. Eunbyul Silver Star. I wanted her to shine like the stars I saw from the cockpit every night. When my father held his granddaughter for the first time, he smiled so wide the creases around his eyes deepened. "Never thought I'd live to see this," he said. Our little compound had more than 10 pilot families. During holidays, everyone gathered to make dumplings. Kids chased each other through the yard. When kimchi season came, the wives worked together just like any neighborhood in the South. Same people, same traditions, same blood. Eunbyul grew fast. By 3, she'd sit on my lap demanding airplane stories. At 5, she announced, "I'm going to fly planes like Daddy." Sun OK laughed, "Can girls be pilots?" And I told her, "Our Unbyul can be anything." I was happy then, truly happy. Flying gave me purpose. I had a wife I loved, a daughter who lit up every room, and parents in good health. I never questioned the system. Rations came. We had a roof. I had a cockpit. That was enough. Sure, odd things happened. Lieutenant Kim, a fellow pilot, disappeared one day. Ideological investigation, people whispered. Nobody asked questions. I saw women dragged away from the Jongmadang, the informal markets, during crackdowns. But I'd been taught that people who defied the system deserved punishment. So I believed it. The first crack came because of Unbyul. Around age 6, she started getting winded. She'd be running with the other kids and suddenly drop to her knees, gasping. At first I thought she was just small for her age. But it kept happening. The base medic listened to her chest and went quiet. "There's an abnormal sound in her heart," he said. "She needs to see a real hospital." I was worried, but not afraid. Not yet. I was an Air Force captain. Surely the state would take care of this. 14 years in the sky had to count for something. I had no idea that my daughter's heartbeat, that faint, irregular rhythm, was about to tear our entire world apart. The day we took Unbyul to the Red Cross Hospital in Pyongyang is seared into my memory. The train from Suncheon took a full day. Unbyul wheezed the entire ride. Sun OK rubbed her back over and over, murmuring, "Just a little longer, baby. They'll fix everything in Pyongyang." I believed that too. Pyongyang had the best hospitals in the country. Of course they'd help. The doctor pressed a stethoscope to Unbyul's chest and his face changed. After more tests, he called me aside. "Ventricular septal defect. In simple terms, there's a hole in her heart. She was born with it. Her body compensated until now, but it can't anymore. It was like being hit with a hammer. A hole in her heart. Can you operate?" My voice cracked. He hesitated a long time, then shook his head. "We can't do this surgery here. We don't have the equipment. She'd need to go abroad." Abroad. In North Korea, a regular citizen going abroad was less likely than plucking a star from the sky. Still, I wouldn't give up. An Air Force captain carried some weight, or so I thought. I filed a formal request through military channels. "My daughter requires cardiac surgery. It can only be performed overseas. Please assist." Then I waited. 1 month. Every day watching Unbyul struggle to breathe. Sun OK slept beside her every night, staying awake until dawn, terrified the breathing would stop. The answer came back in a single line: "State resources cannot be allocated for personal matters." 14 years of service. That's what it bought me. One cold sentence. Something collapsed inside me. I heard it, a dull thud in my chest, like something falling from a great height. After that, the world looked different. Things I'd never noticed became impossible to ignore. Outside the base, ordinary people were barely surviving. At the Jongmadang, women sold porridge made from ground corn husks and wild grass. Not rice grass. 500 a bowl. One day, I found a boy collapsed near the base entrance. Maybe 8 years old, Unbyul's age. He'd fainted from hunger. I ran over and gave him a piece of bread I had in my pocket. He took it and cried. Not because it tasted good. Because he was starving. I looked at that boy and saw my daughter. Mine couldn't breathe. His couldn't eat. And I thought, what kind of country is this? The hospital was no different. I went to the Suncheon People's Hospital looking for medicine for Unbyul. Calling it a hospital was generous. There was nothing. No cold medicine. No painkillers. No disinfectant. The doctor gave a hollow laugh. "If we had medicine, I'd have taken it myself." My parents' generation said even the years right after the Korean War weren't this bad. But this was North Korea in the 2000s. You could find Chinese-made drugs on the black market. Whether they were real or counterfeit, nobody knew. The packaging was covered in Chinese characters none of us could read. But there was no alternative. I paid a fortune and gave them to Unbyul. They did nothing. You can't patch a hole in a heart with pills. The base medic, Park, pulled me aside one evening. He was a good man, one of the few who still had a conscience. "Captain Ri, I'll be straight with you. This child needs a real hospital. Soon. There's nothing I can do here. She's only getting worse." I couldn't speak for a long time. When I got home, Unbyul was lying in Sunok's lap, drawing. "An airplane. That's Daddy's plane," she said, grinning. Her lips were blue. That blue the moment I saw it. Tears hit me without warning. I locked myself in the bathroom and wept. Silently. Sun OK and Unbyul couldn't hear. They couldn't know. That night, I lay staring at the ceiling. Is this really my country? 14 years defending its skies. And it can't save one child? Is a father wanting to keep his daughter alive really such a crime? It was the longest night of my life. For the first time, the very first time, I felt in my bones that this system was broken. Not just inconvenient, not just flawed, broken at the root. My daughter's blue lips, the starving boy on the ground, the empty hospital shelves, that single line rejection, all of it connected into one terrible truth. But I couldn't say it out loud. In North Korea, doubting the system is a death sentence. Neighbors watch neighbors. Showing your true feelings is suicide. So I kept performing the loyal captain on the outside, crumbling on the inside. Eunbyul's condition deteriorated by the day. A few days before her 7th birthday, I was in the middle of flight training when an urgent radio call came through. Captain Ri, your daughter collapsed at school. She's unconscious. The sky seemed to spin around me. I landed the jet and ran. Eunbyul was lying on the floor of the school clinic, her face white as paper. For a moment, I couldn't tell if she was breathing. Sun-ok had gotten there first. Her eyes were swollen shut from crying. She just sat there, hollow, staring at nothing. When she saw me, her voice came out broken. What are we going to do? The helplessness of being a father, a husband who can do absolutely nothing. I wonder if you can understand what that feels like. Dr. Park examined Eunbyul again and called me into the hallway. Captain Ri, her condition has worsened significantly. If she doesn't have surgery within 6 months, you could lose her. 6 months. 180 days. That number echoed in my skull like a bell. After that, I searched like a man possessed. I called in every favor, a senior pilot stationed in Pyongyang, contacts at the military hospital, even a broker with connections to China. On the black market, I found something labeled as Chinese heart medication. 10,000 won per pill, the price of a kilogram of rice. People around us were going hungry, and I was spending rice money on a single pill. But she was my daughter. The pills did nothing. Then a new threat appeared. My repeated requests through military channels had drawn attention. The Boebu, North Korea's secret police, started watching me. A fellow pilot warned me in a whisper, Chul-ho, you've been flagged. They're saying you keep filing personal complaints, that your ideology might be wavering. Be careful. My blood went cold. Being flagged by the Boebu meant the political prison camps. Not just for me, for Sun-ok, for Eunbyul, for my parents. Yunjwahe, the guilt by association system. One person's offense, and 3 generations pay the price. A practice from the darkest chapters of history, still alive and well in North Korea. Sleep became impossible. On one side, my daughter dying. On the other, the secret police closing in. A cliff in every direction. I couldn't tell Sun-ok about the surveillance. She was already wasting away, gaunt face, sunken eyes. I couldn't pile more fear on top. Then one evening, I came home and found Sun-ok crying in the kitchen. Eunbyul had been watching the other children play through the window. And she'd said, Mommy, why can't I run like the other kids? I wish I wasn't sick. 7 years old. A 7-year-old said that. Hearing those words was like a blade dragged across my chest. That night, Sun-ok clung to me. Please, find a way. Save her. If not you, who? The desperation in her eyes, I'll carry it to my grave. Even in all that darkness, there was warmth. The woman next door brought over a chicken for Eunbyul. In North Korea, a whole chicken was a luxury most families couldn't afford. The child's sick, she said. She needs to eat something nourishing. Dr. Park stopped by after his shifts, checking Eunbyul off the record. The system was merciless, but the people weren't. Neighbors helped however they could. Same people, same hearts, but kindness can't perform open heart surgery. Eunbyul weakened by the hour. A few steps and she'd collapse, gasping. She barely ate. Her lips stayed blue. At night, coughing fits jolted her awake. Every time, Sun-ok and I shot up to pat her back, soothe her, hold her. That became our routine. 1 night, 2 nights, 10, a month of sleepless dawns. One night, the coughing wouldn't stop. Her face turned purple. She couldn't get air. Sun-ok screamed. I grabbed Eunbyul and ran barefoot through the winter dark to Dr. Park's quarters. He stabilized her, barely. Then he looked at me, voice shaking. Captain Ri, time is running out. You need to find a way. Whatever it takes. Walking home barefoot, I looked up. The sky was full of stars, the same stars I'd seen the night I named her. Eunbyul, silver star. Those stars were still shining. And beneath them, my daughter was dying. That's when the thought crystallized. I couldn't stay here. I had to act. I already knew the only way to save her. I'd known for a while. I was just too terrified to say it out loud. It had first come to me during a training flight. I was in the cockpit, and I glanced south. South Korea is down there. They have hospitals. They have the equipment to fix Unbyul's heart. In a fighter jet, it's 30 minutes away. The thought struck like lightning. At first, I recoiled from my own mind. Betray my country? Abandon the land my father bled for? Unthinkable. But every time Unbyul's blue lips flashed before my eyes, loyalty crumpled like paper. If my country won't save my daughter, why should I give it my life? For 10 days, I wrestled with it. No sleep, no appetite. During flights, I caught myself staring south, losing focus. Sun OK noticed. What's wrong with you? Your face is half gone. I couldn't tell her. Not yet. Then the breaking point. Unbyul collapsed at school again. This time, it took over an hour for her to regain consciousness. Dr. Park examined her, and his voice trembled. 3 months, Captain. If she doesn't have surgery within 3 months, you may lose her. 3 months. 90 days. There was nothing left to deliberate. That night, after Unbyul fell asleep, I told Sun OK. I need to tell you something. Her eyes widened. I pulled the blanket over us and whispered against her ear, I'm going to fly south. To South Korea. I'm taking you and Unbyul with me. She stopped breathing. For a long time, she just stared. Then tears ran down her face. You've lost your mind. We'll all die. She was right. If we were caught, it was instant execution. All of us. But I said if we stay, Unbyul dies anyway. 3 months. I won't sit here and watch our daughter die. Sun OK turned to look at Unbyul, the small hand poking out from under the blanket, the bluish lips, the faint rise and fall of her chest. She stared for a long time. Then she nodded. Let's go. If it means saving Unbyul, I'll go anywhere. From that moment, I planned every detail. I knew aircraft inside and out. First, choosing the right plane. A single-seat fighter wouldn't work. I needed room for my family. The base had 4 MiG-21 two-seater trainers with a rear cockpit. As an instructor-rated pilot, I could be assigned one without raising suspicion. Next, the flight path. Suncheon to the DMZ was roughly 125 miles in a straight line. Flying low along the mountain ridges would keep me under radar. At maximum speed, 25 to 30 minutes. The problem was fuel. Training aircraft were only half fueled per regulations. That left zero margin. If headwinds picked up, we'd fall out of the sky. The most dangerous window was the first 5 minutes after takeoff. 3 to 4 minutes for the control tower to detect the deviation. Another 2 to 3 for an intercept order. 5 to 7 minutes total before they came after us. In that narrow gap, I had to put as much distance behind me as possible. Those 5 minutes would determine whether my family lived or died. I taught Sun OK how to get into the rear seat. I brought my spare flight suit for her. Unbyul would sit in Sun Ok's lap. The catch, 2 people in a 1-person ejection seat meant the ejection system was useless. No emergency escape. When I explained this, Sun OK said, so what? We go back, we die. We fail, we die. Let's go together. I set the date. A scheduled night training flight. A moonless night, new moon, low clouds. Optimal conditions for avoiding radar. 2 weeks away. In the time I had left, there was one thing I had to do. Say goodbye to my parents. I couldn't tell them the truth. If I did, they'd try to stop me. And if word leaked, everything would be over. I visited them that weekend at their small house outside Suncheon, where my father had settled after retirement. My mother made sundae-guk. She knew it was my favorite. I sat on the wooden floor with Unbyul on my lap, eating that soup, and had to fight to keep my eyes dry. My father sat Unbyul on his knee. Are Unbyul beautiful like her grandfather? He said, smiling. I burned every detail into my memory. This might be the last time. At the gate, my mother waved. Come again soon. I couldn't answer. I just bowed my head. I couldn't say it. Mother, father, I'm leaving. I may never come back. That image, my mother at the gate, her hand waving, still visits me every night. D-Day arrived, or rather, D-Night. A moonless sky, black as ink. Clouds hung low, perfect for evading radar and also perfect for getting killed if you flew too low. I confirmed with Sun OK one last time. Ready? She nodded. Her face was chalk white, but her eyes were steady. I told Unbyul, Daddy's going to take you on a special airplane ride tonight. It'll be fun. Her face lit up. Really? I love airplanes. That innocent smile cut right through me. She had no idea what we were about to gamble. 11 p.m. Night training hour. I walked to the base in my flight suit, same as always. The only difference, Sun-ok and Unbil were crouched near the fence behind the base, waiting in the dark. Sun-ok wore my spare flight suit. Unbil was bundled in her arms. I reached the hangar. The MiG-21 two-seater was prepped and waiting. I told the ground crew, night training sortie, and they handed over the key without a second look. I climbed into the cockpit. Checked the instruments. Fuel half, per regulations. Just enough if everything went right. No room for error. None. Then came the most dangerous moment. Getting Sun-ok and Unbil aboard. I taxied the jet behind the hangar, out of the floodlights. At the prearranged spot, I signaled. Sun-ok sprinted from the shadows with Unbil in her arms. My heart hammered so hard I thought it would crack a rib. If anyone saw us, it was over right then, right there. I pulled Sun-ok into the rear seat and settled Unbil in her lap. Inside the oversized flight suit, Unbil practically disappeared. Don't move, no matter what happens, hold her tight. Sun-ok's voice shook. I will. I lowered the canopy. Sealed, no turning back. I fired the engine. The MiG's roar tore through the night. I taxied to the runway and keyed the radio. Aircraft 135, departing for night training. The tower cleared me. I pushed the throttle forward. The jet surged down the runway. Speed climbing 200, 300 and the wheels left the ground. The instant we were airborne, Unbil shrieked, wow. For her, this was the ride of a lifetime. Sun-ok and I were clenching our teeth. I banked hard south. Dropped altitude immediately. Treetop level. Mountain ridges blurred past the canopy. I could see the peaks of pines just below me. One mistake, one gust of crosswind and we'd be a fireball on a hillside. 3 minutes in, the radio crackled. Aircraft 135, you have deviated from your flight path. Return to base immediately. Repeat, return to base immediately. My pulse was hammering, but I reached over and killed the radio. Silence. No going back. At the 5-minute mark, the situation turned critical. Interceptors would be launching. I slammed the throttle to full military power. The airframe shuddered violently. From the backseat, Unbil started crying. Daddy, I'm scared. Sun-ok's voice came through, strained but steady. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Mommy's holding you. I bit down hard and gripped the stick. 10 minutes. 15. Mountain ridges ripped past beneath us. The fuel gauge crept downward. By my calculations, we'd make it, but low-altitude flight burns fuel fast. If I'd miscalculated by even a few minutes, I pushed the thought away. No room for doubt. Not now. At 20 minutes, lights appeared on the horizon. Southern lights. North Korea at night is dark pitch black from the air. South Korea glows. The contrast is the DMZ. That line of light was getting closer. 25 minutes. The fuel warning light blinked red. A cold wave washed through my body. But stopping wasn't an option. Forward. Just forward. 28 minutes. We crossed the DMZ. The radar warning tone changed. South Korean radar had picked us up. Then a voice came through the radio. Korean but a different accent. South Korean Korean. Unidentified aircraft. State your identity and intention. I grabbed the radio. We are defectors. A family. We are requesting asylum. Fuel is almost gone. Please grant landing clearance. Silence. A few seconds that felt like eternity. Then we will guide you in. Follow our lead. 2 South Korean fighters appeared on either side, flanking me. They waggled their wings. A welcome signal. Behind me, Sun-ok broke down sobbing. Unbil cried because her mother was crying. Tears blurred my own vision. My hands shook on the stick. The runway appeared ahead, lit up bright as daylight. I'd never seen that much light on an airstrip. Not in North Korea. Not ever. I landed. The wheels touched pavement. The jet rolled to a stop. I pressed my forehead against the control stick and wept. 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes. The longest of my life. My last flight as a pilot for my daughter's heart. The moment the jet stopped, sirens erupted from every direction. Fire trucks, military vehicles, ambulances all converging on the runway. I popped the canopy and cold night air hit my face. The same Korean peninsula wind, but somehow it felt different. I still can't explain why. South Korean soldiers surrounded the aircraft. Rifles raised. Understandable, a North Korean fighter jet had just appeared unannounced. I put both hands up and slowly stood. We are defectors. My family is in the back seat. Sun Ok lifted her head from the rear cockpit, Unbyul's face buried in her chest. What happened next is something I'll carry with me forever. The soldiers lowered their weapons. One of them jogged over and handed me a bottle of water and a blanket. Are you all right? Are you hurt? Those words hit me like a wall. In North Korea, this was unimaginable. Being treated as a person, not a threat. Water and a blanket instead of a bullet. That was my first taste of freedom. Sun Ok's legs gave out on the ladder. Two soldiers caught her on both sides, Unbyul still in her arms. A female soldier knelt down and offered Unbyul a piece of candy. Hey there, sweetie. Scared? It's okay. You're safe now. Unbyul took the candy and stopped crying. One small piece of candy. For our family, that was the flavor of freedom. Officers arrived for a basic identification. Name, unit, rank, reason for defection. My voice wouldn't stop trembling. My daughter has a heart condition. Surgery isn't possible in North Korea. I came to save her. The officer translating paused mid-sentence. His eyes turned red, then he grabbed his phone and made a call. Within 30 minutes, a military medical team arrived. They examined Unbyul and their faces went tense. This child's condition is serious. She needs to be transferred to Seoul immediately. A helicopter was already waiting. In North Korea, begging a doctor for a single aspirin was a lost cause. Here, a helicopter was standing by in half an hour. The gap between those two realities nearly broke me. From inside the helicopter, I looked down. South Korea glittered below, headlights streaming along highways, buildings blazing with light, street lamps marching in neat rows. When you fly over North Korea at night, there's nothing below. No electricity, just darkness. But this was bright as noon. Sun Ok pressed her face to the window. What is all of that? I had no answer. Same peninsula, same people. How could it be this different? We reached Seoul before dawn. Seoul National University Hospital. Walking through those doors was another shock. Spotless corridors, bright lights, doctors and nurses in clean white coats. And equipment everywhere. The machines that Pyongyang's Red Cross Hospital said didn't exist were overflowing here. Sun Ok gripped my arm. This isn't a dream, is it? The medical team ran tests immediately. Echocardiogram, blood work, scans I'd never heard of. When they finished, the lead doctor called me in. A middle-aged man with a kind face. Father, we've confirmed the diagnosis. Ventricular septal defect. She needs surgery, but the procedure can cure her completely. My knees buckled. I sank to the floor. You mean it? You can really fix her? He nodded and smiled. We perform this surgery regularly. Please don't worry. Sun Ok and I collapsed into each other, crying. 4 a.m, in a hospital hallway, two people sobbing without restraint. Nurses rushed over, alarmed, then heard the story and cried with us. We can fix her. 3 words, the heaviest 3 words I've ever heard. Words that were impossible in North Korea. After years of we don't have the equipment and nothing can be done, hearing we can fix her sounded like a voice from heaven. Our daughter could live. They put Unbyul in a hospital room. Clean white sheets, a soft pillow, a television mounted beside the bed. Unbyul stared at the TV screen, wide-eyed. Daddy, what is that? Are there little people inside? She'd barely seen a television in her life. A nurse switched on a cartoon and Unbyul burst out laughing. I hadn't heard her laugh like that in so long. Watching her face glow in the light of that cartoon screen, I knew we'd made the right choice. That night, after Unbyul fell asleep, I went up to the hospital rooftop. Seoul stretched out below, an endless ocean of light, rivers of headlights, a city alive and breathing. I turned north. Somewhere beyond the dark horizon, my parents were out there. Had they heard? Did they know their son had disappeared in a stolen jet? How frightened they must be. How heartbroken. Father, mother, I'm sorry. I whispered it toward the northern sky. I came here to save Unbyul. Please forgive me. There were no stars visible over Seoul, too much city light, but it was the same sky. I told myself it would reach them. Surgery day came, 4 days after our arrival. In North Korea, Unbyul could have waited 3 months and never been treated. Here, 4 days. The night before, I sat beside her bed. Unbyul, tomorrow the doctor is going to fix your chest. When you wake up, everything will be better. She tilted her head. Then I can run like the other kids? You can run as much as you want. Her whole face brightened. Promise, Daddy? Promise. We hooked pinkies. A pinky promise between a father and his 7-year-old daughter. You know how sacred that is. The next morning, they wheeled her toward the operating room. Lying on the gurney, she waved her small hand. Daddy, Mommy, I'll be right back. Son OK pressed her hand over her mouth to muffle a sob. I clenched my jaw until it ached. The OR doors swung shut behind her. The heaviest doors I've ever watched close. The surgeon had explained the procedure beforehand. It's a major operation, approximately 6 hours. We'll patch the hole in the septum. Success rate is over 95%. 95, high odds, but that remaining 5% sat on my chest like a boulder. We waited in the corridor, side by side. 1 hour, 2, 3. Son OK had her hands clasped, eyes closed. It looked like prayer. In North Korea, religion is forbidden. I don't know who she was praying to, God, Buddha, the universe. Whoever could save our girl. I closed my eyes too. Father, Mother, watch over us from under that same sky. Please let Unbil live. 4 hours. 5. A hospital volunteer brought us warm coffee. Stay strong. It'll be fine, she said softly. That small kindness from a complete stranger nearly undid me. In North Korea, neighbors showed compassion when they could. But a total stranger offering comfort like this, that was new. At the 6-hour mark, the OR doors opened. My heart seized. The surgeon walked out and pulled down his mask. He was smiling. Surgery was successful. We've completely sealed the defect. Once she recovers, she'll live a completely normal life. Son OK dropped to the floor and wept out loud, without restraint. I leaned against the wall, tears pouring down my face. 6 hours of holding it together, all releasing at once. The surgeon looked startled. Are you all right? I took his hand in both of mine. Thank you so much. You saved my daughter. He shook his head gently. All I did was operate. The one who saved her is you. That sentence pierced straight through me. In the recovery room, Unbil lay small and still, tubes running from her arms and chest. But her breathing was different. The ragged, labored gasps were gone, replaced by steady, even breaths. And her lips, those lips that had been blue for as long as I could remember. They were pink. The moment I saw that color, everything else fell away. The stolen jet, the parents I'd abandoned, the country I'd fled. All of it dissolved before my daughter's pink lips. Her eyes fluttered open. Daddy, weak, but alive. The surgery went perfectly, Unbil. You're going to be okay. A small smile. Can I run now? Absolutely. We promised, remember? She closed her eyes and drifted back to sleep. Peaceful. For the first time in years, truly peaceful. If that wasn't a miracle, I don't know what is. Her recovery was remarkable. Within a week, she was sitting up. Within 2, she was walking laps around the ward. The nurses adored her. Unbil, did you eat all your lunch? Unbil, want anything special? She said, ice cream. She'd never had it before. A nurse brought her a cup, and after one bite, her eyes went round as coins. Daddy, what is this? It's so good. Watching her eyes smiled. A real smile. The first one in a very long time. A month after surgery, Unbil was discharged. We moved to Hanwon, the government resettlement center, where North Korean defectors learn to navigate South Korean society. 3 months of orientation, laws, economics, culture, daily life. Everything was foreign. The first time I held a smartphone, I swiped the screen and photos slid past like magic. Son OK stood frozen in the middle of a supermarket, staring at the shelves. Can we really buy all of this? If you have money, yes. It feels like a dream. Unbil adapted fastest. Kids always do. She made friends at the school inside Hanwon. She followed her teachers everywhere. But what she loved most was running. Every day, sprinting across the playground. Laughing until she was out of breath, the good kind of out of breath. The child who used to collapse after 3 steps was now outrunning everyone. Every time I watched her, my chest swelled until it hurt. This is freedom. My daughter running as hard as she wants. This is what freedom looks like. After Hanwon, our family settled into a subsidized apartment in Gyeonggi province, just south of Seoul. It was bigger and cleaner than our old military housing. The hot water amazed us most. In North Korea, you heated water on the stove to wash. Here, you turned a knob and it came pouring out, steaming. Son OK stood at the faucet, mesmerized. This comes out every day? Every day, she whispered, unbelievable. Adjusting wasn't easy. Our accent gave us away immediately. When I said Dongmu comrade, people stared. When I said Rangmian, they corrected me, you mean Nangmian? Same language, technically, but 70 years of division had bent the words apart. Our food tasted different, our slang was different. Even the way we thought was different. Kimchi, though kimchi tasted the same. That was a comfort. The first trip to a supermarket deserves its own chapter. For you, it's the most ordinary thing in the world. For me, it was a revelation. White rice stacked on the shelves, more than I'd ever seen. In North Korea, white rice was a fantasy for most families. Here, it overflowed. Fruit, too. Apples, pears, grapes, bananas. Unbyul pointed at a banana. Daddy, what's that? She'd never seen one. I bought one and peeled it for her. She took a bite and asked for more. Joy and grief in the same moment. Somewhere in the north, children didn't even know what a banana was. The 24-hour convenience stores blew my mind. Midnight, and the lights were on. Shelves full of food. In North Korea, when the sun went down, the world went dark. Electricity ran on a schedule, if it ran at all. Here, day or night, the lights stayed on. I realized that was freedom too. Unbyul grew healthier by the month. At every follow-up, the doctor said the same thing, perfectly normal. She's just like any other child. Each time, gratitude washed through me. She thrived at school. Her accent drew some teasing at first. But she was so bright and open that friends came easily. In PE class, she was the fastest runner in her grade. The child who couldn't walk without gasping. Hearing that report card, my eyes burned every time. I started a new life too. My aviation background landed me a job at a company in the aerospace sector. Computers baffled me at first. The office systems were alien. But colleagues walked me through everything. Patient, kind, Mr. Let me show you how this works. Sun Ok found a job at a local restaurant. The owner asked her to teach the staff how to make North Korean style dishes. When customers complimented her dumplings, her face glowed. The first thing I ever searched on the internet was Suncheon, my hometown. Satellite images showed the airbase, the runway where I used to fly, the office's housing, where we'd lived, the village where my parents' house stood. I could zoom in and see rooftops. But I couldn't go there. I could make out the tiles on my parents' roof. But I had no way of knowing if they were still underneath it. That's the hardest part. I gained freedom, but I lost my family. Whether my parents are alive, whether they were punished for what I did, that's the thought that keeps me awake at 3 in the morning. Under the guilt by association system. My defection could mean a labor camp for them. When I think about that, sleep doesn't come. Sun Ok tells me, it's not your fault. But leaving them behind was my choice. Holidays are the worst. Shaping Songpyeon at Chuseok, I see my mother's hands. Rolling dumplings at Lunar New Year, I hear the laughter from our old compound. When Unbyul asks, Daddy, why don't Grandma and Grandpa visit? I don't know what to say. They live very far away, sweetheart. They can't come. She says, can't they take an airplane? That question cuts like glass. Close enough to fly to. Impossible to reach. That's what division means. Sometimes Sun Ok and I watch the separated families reunion programs on TV. Siblings meeting after 70 years. Parents and children clinging to each other and weeping. We cry every time. And I wonder, will we ever get our turn? My father saying protect the sky. My mother's sundaeguk, her hand waving at the gate. Will I ever see those things again? That's why I dream of reunification. If it comes, the first thing I'll do is run to my parents' house. That little village outside Suncheon. I'll push open that gate and say, Father, Mother Chol-ho is home. I'll bring Unbyul and introduce her properly. And I'll eat my mother's sundaeguk one more time. That's my dream. Unbyul started middle school this year. She's tall now, and she still loves running, the fastest girl on the track team. The surgery scar is still visible on her chest, but she wears it with pride. This is the mark of how Daddy saved my life, she says. Every time I hear that, something cracks open inside me. That decision, the 30-minute flight that changed everything, she proves it. Right every single day. I'm a man who flew to freedom. I stole a fighter jet to fix my daughter's heart. It was the last thing I could do as a father. That choice cost me my parents, my hometown, and the only country I'd ever known. But it gave me my daughter's life. It gave me freedom. It gave me hope. My parents are still out there, somewhere under that same sky. People who share the same blood, separated by a line they can't cross. Reunification has to come, in our generation, while I'm still alive, while my parents might still be alive. So I can bring Unbyul to meet her grandparents. So Sun Ok and I can kneel before my mother and father and say, we're home. That's my story. Thank you for listening. I hope you hold your family close tonight, and I hope you never take for granted the freedom to do so. I had to risk everything to learn what it was worth.